Scorpio Ophiuchus, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for October 3rd through the 9th, 2016. I'm Athen, and this channel is about using the real location of the constellations in the sky. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below for more information. All right, so Scorpio Ophiuchus, this week we have a lot going on astrologically speaking. The most important aspect taking place is that Saturn is going to be squaring up to the North Node. So this is significant because it's involving two very slow-moving planets. And this has been Saturn recently shifting into your sign, particularly for you Scorpios, which has been this year of developing your independence, assuming healthy responsibility, patience, persistence, taking things nice and slow, nice and grounded, and yeah, cultivating things for the long term. And a bit of that maturity coming in, willingness to be patient and take things slow. So as you approach your life in that fashion, I think that's a great way of working with this week since Saturn will be activated. I think for both of you, that will be the case. For you Ophiuchuses, maybe a bit more of still taking seriously your spiritual development, your alone time, your time out, learning more about yourself psychologically and spiritually. But with that, the North Node for both of you has been pointing towards your career location or your legacy or your productive life. And some of you to your public life. So whatever this has been, it's been more of an undercurrent, but last month there was some transformations with this, so it's still about cultivating that. And with Saturn squaring the North Node, how you can bring in this patience and persistence into cultivating things like your career, things like your legacy and your public life. And I think that's a great way of working with this week because the squares are about taking action and willing ourselves to move things forward, and it is suggesting particularly moving things forward with that life path, which is the productive area, which is about success, it's about achievement and your legacy. All right, so that's going to be ongoing for the next year and a half, and it's really just about learning more about that. A little bit of this really goes a long ways, and anything you can do this week to challenge yourself with that can go well, especially in the long term. All right, so that's going to be that aspect. We have other things going on. We've got Venus sextiling up to the North Node, making perhaps a bit of harmony with that at the beginning of the week, which could be nice. Venus is actually going into dignity in Libra, which is a nice placement for Venus to be in, especially with her coming out of debilitation in Virgo. So both of you could be enjoying a bit of this alone time and getting that time out, rest. Could be enjoyable there. Maybe a bit of understanding in your relationships or compassion or spiritual connection, going with the flow in those relationships. But all in all, perhaps enjoying a bit more of the tranquil energies. And so it could be meditation, could be alone time, could be easygoing. Depends on how you utilize it, but there is certainly this opening and I would say positive shift towards having a bit more peace and tranquility in your everyday life. Now, along with that, the sun will be sextiling up to the Saturn, which does emphasize that this whole lunar cycle has been about your aspirations. We had a new moon in your 11th house last week. You got Jupiter in your 11th house, helping you cultivate new aspirations. So this is your personal aspirations, such as your hopes and wishes, things for the future for you personally, but also your collective energies, maybe getting involved with your network circles, friends, groups, community, things larger than yourself. And a lot of you too, it's a great time for things like technology, innovation, progressive things, basically anything that's future thinking. And so there's a lot of positive energy for that. You're in the early phases of this lunar cycle, so it's great to continue to cultivate that. Mercury is actually going into Virgo, which is exaltation, a very good position for Mercury to be in, probably giving you a good forward-thinking mind and progressive mind, which can certainly be implemented for the weeks to come. So along with that, also Venus sextiling up to Pluto about midweek on Wednesday, giving a bit of depth and intimacy there, maybe with those relationships, maybe with, again, stripping away some things so you can have some peace in your life. It's usually easy with a sextile, but it can be easy to unveil the truth, the fears, the anxieties, the past traumas and things that do prevent us from having peace. And so that could be easy if you are willing to be open to those deeper sides of yourself, of life, and of relationships, such as with that intimacy. and the result could be very positive with that. Now, this week does have your ruler Mars squaring up to Jupiter, so this is also very significant, if not the most significant thing going on this week for you, particularly because it's involving your ruler. So Mars has recently shifted into the second house of yours, so both of you should be feeling a bit of motivation and drive to be cultivating your personal resources. And this is your inner resources, such as your self-reliance, your self-confidence, self-efficacy, your belief in yourself that you can attain your values in life, and also your actual external resources, such as your finances. Okay, so there could be good motivation and drive. I think it's an excellent week to be cultivating those resources, and Jupiter can give you a bit of inspiration with that. Now, in a square, sometimes there can be extremes with Jupiter, over exuberance, overconfidence, over excess, perhaps, when it comes to these material things in life. So I do want to say that so you can bring some extra attention to that this week, some extra awareness to keep everything nice and balanced, nice and moderate when it comes to you pursuing your values. But with that in mind, yeah, there can be some inspiration. I think using that inspiration constructively is a great way of working with this. Again, taking that steady action, that healthy action towards cultivating these values of yours. And likewise, Mars squaring up to the 11th house does give a bit of motivation to cultivate those aspirations. Now in the square, again, extra attention is needed, but that energy could certainly be there. All right, so that's going to be the most significant thing over the weekend. We do have the Sun squaring up to Pluto. So this is your modern rulers, Pluto here. So this is about the deeper side to life. I think collectively over the weekend, being open to change, being open to seeing where we might have fears and anxieties and things that are preventing us from, in this case, for you to cultivate your aspirations in life, and maybe even to cultivate your material values, because Pluto has been transiting that second house for many, many years for you. And this is about detaching from outcome when it comes to the material life. And this is going to be increasingly important as your ruler gets closer to Pluto here in the second. So it's about detachment, because what happens when we're not attached to an outcome is that we free ourselves up, right? We don't care what the outcome is. We free ourselves up to make change and to do whatever it is that we truly want to do in that area here with your finances or your material life. So there could likely be some anxieties or things coming up with that, generally depending on your personal chart. But the key here is, as best as you can, to detach from outcome, about those resources, about those aspirations, and that can help you make great change and learn more about yourself in a deeper way. And again, free yourself up so you can make those changes there. All right, so that's the week in a nutshell. I would say the strongest one, Mars squaring up to Jupiter. There can be some inspiration. There can be some potentials this week, but I think moderation is key with that. Of course, things are still developing with those aspirations, which is great. Maybe enjoying a bit of that alone time. And yeah, cultivating that career and public and productive life with Saturn squaring up to the North Node. All right, so Scorpio Ophiuchus, have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next week.